So I have an audience of about 40,000 people, and I've made $500,000 selling products to that audience through social media. I'm going to share with you in this video how I did it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Kyle here. I'm sharing everything that I'm learning from building software products here on the channel every week. So today's topic is how to build an audience. So I have an audience of around 40,000 people across X, LinkedIn, YouTube, and email. I'm going to break down how I built that audience, why you should build an audience if it's worth it. I'm assuming that a lot of people watching this will have no audience. They're starting out with a very small audience base. They want to learn how to grow their audience. So if you stick around to the end, I'll share a bit of a hack that you can use to grow very quickly if you don't already have an audience, rather than just posting into the void. So before we start, you got to ask yourself the question, do I need an audience? If you listen to a lot of people on X, then the answer is no. You know, every day there is a guru on X with a huge audience telling you that you don't need an audience, and usually there's hundreds of replies from people saying, yeah, you're only successful because of your audience. And I get why people get upset about this, because it's very difficult to listen to someone who has a huge audience telling you that you don't need an audience. So let me give you a few examples from my own experience that will give you a balanced perspective on this. Example number one is a couple of years ago, I launched a course called How to Build a SaaS Product, and it made $25,000 in the first month. And that was absolutely because I had an audience. I launched it on X, and there's no way I would have made that amount of money in the first month if I didn't have the audience. Okay, example number two, I've launched 5 or 6 different SaaS products to my audience on X, and most of them flopped. They maybe got 2 or 3 signups. Could I have done this without an audience? Yes. Absolutely, I could have got 2 signups without an audience. Third example, right now I am testing out a new SaaS product idea, and this is in a market that is totally unrelated to my existing audience. I haven't tweeted about it. I've said I'm doing it, but I haven't told anybody what it is, and it's getting 2 to 3 signups per day from a single ad. So could I have done this without an audience? Yes, of course I am doing it without an audience. The question, do you need an audience? The answer is quite nuanced. I think it depends what you're doing and what your goals are. In my experience and in my opinion, if you're selling content, if you're selling a course, for example, or a book, then having an audience is absolutely going to benefit you. If you're building a SaaS product, having an audience, it's maybe not as important. It will help, but I don't think it's the only way. In my experience, it's only been useful to get the initial batch of early adopters on board, but I don't really see it as a repeatable growth channel. It does work for some people. Like, I'm not saying it's not gonna work at all, but I think for most people it doesn't work. You want some data on this? Rob Walling publishes a report on the state of independent SaaS every year, and something like only 5% of SaaS founders have an audience. In saying that, I do think it's a good investment. It's a good asset to have. It's not going to make things worse. Like, it is going to help you. I don't think it's absolutely necessary that you build an audience, but it will make your life and your journey in entrepreneurship much easier. That's one reason why I do it. Even if you don't feel like you need it now, it may help you in the future. It takes a long time to build an audience. It's something I think is worth starting now and just working at it every day for years and years and build up an asset. Okay, where should you build your audience? Well, the answer to this is, where does your audience typically hang out? So if your goal is to sell B2B software products, you got to ask, like, where are your customers typically hanging out? Is it on X? Is it on TikTok? Is it on LinkedIn? You know, there's no point in posting content on TikTok every day if your customers are actually on LinkedIn, and they may be on all of the platforms, or they may be on one or maybe 1 or 2 of them. Another thing to consider here is different platforms have different vibes and they work in different ways, and that may or may not suit your personality type and the type of content that you want to create. And I think it's a good idea to play into your strengths. If you're really good at writing, then you should lean heavier into the platforms where you can create written content. If you're good at talking on camera and making videos, then you should make videos. I would recommend to experiment with all of these different types of content and see what you like best and see what you don't like. Like, for example, On Twitter years ago, it was really good for just documenting what you were doing, sharing educational content. Now it's kind of mostly rage bait and shit posting. Like, I find it hard to get traction with my content on X unless I'm making people angry or I'm posting satirical jokes, which is fun to do. Like, I like humor, I like making jokes, but at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur building a business. I'm not trying to be a comedian. So I treat X as kind of just a place to have fun and just mess around. And other platforms like LinkedIn and YouTube as a more kind of serious place to make more serious long form content. One platform that I would say is completely non-negotiable is email. You've got to have a newsletter, because building an audience on a platform that you don't own is risky. If you lose your X account or your YouTube account, you're going to lose your audience. So you want to try and get as much of that audience as possible into your email newsletter, because you own that channel and you control that channel. And if anything happens, you can still connect and communicate with your audience. So every time I have a tweet that does well, I will plug it in the first comment to try and get people to sign up for my newsletter. By the way, if you want to sign up to my newsletter, I'll have a link in the description down below. Every week I'll post a written article on what I've done that week. Something else to consider is content behaves differently on different platforms. So on X, content is very short-lived, maybe like within 24 hours it's gone. It's unlikely anybody's going to see it again. On LinkedIn, content can last for a couple of weeks to a month. So one piece of content can work hard for you for weeks rather than just one day. And on YouTube, it's kind of like SEO, right? Like, your videos can be found by people years into the future if you're thinking strategically about your titles and your content, and you're using keywords that people are actually searching for. So I think like just building content on X alone it's very short term, and you do need to be putting content out on a platform where the content can live for longer, especially at least on one platform, whether that's YouTube or a blog, where the content can live on for a very long time. Okay, let's talk about how to build an audience. I'm going to assume that many of you don't have an audience, or you have a small audience and you want to grow from there rather than someone who has a huge audience. You're probably not watching this video. So I think if you have a small audience and you're starting off, then content creation is mostly a waste of time. I wouldn't put all my effort into creating content. I'm going to tell you in a second what I would do. Now, this is changing a little bit because the world is transitioning from social media to interest media, and you can now put out a TikTok video and get 10 million views with no followers. But I think if you're starting out and you don't have an audience, it's very difficult to gauge what is good content or what content will go viral. Once you've been posting for a long time, you kind of have a sense of what kind of content will perform well. So I think just starting out trying to create content that's going to go viral is very difficult. What you should do instead is become a reply guy or a reply girl and reply to content strategically to get visibility. So you want to find content that is relevant to your niche, that is visible. So it's posted by a big creator, it's getting a lot of views and engagement, and then you engage with that content and add value, and do this every day consistently. You need to be strategic about this. You can't just doom scroll through your timeline and just randomly reply to stuff. You have to reply to the right content. And the way to do this is to find the best keywords or topics for your industry. So for example, my audience is indie hackers and startup founders. The keywords for me are things like indie hacking, bootstrapping, SaaS, startup, build in public. So make a list of these keywords. And when you're thinking about these keywords, think about words or phrases that people in your target audience will use in their posts quite frequently. And then what you need to do is go to your target platform, whether that's X, LinkedIn, Reddit, every single day and search for each of these keywords. Find the most popular content. So that's going to be the content that has the most views, the most engagement, that's getting seen by a lot of people. And then you're going to engage with that content. You're going to go into the comments and you're going to add value. Now, this is so important. You have to add value. You can't just say generic stuff like, wow, great post. You got to like add something to the conversation that makes you look interesting and a person that is going to provide value. So you want people to see your value that you're adding to someone else's content. Click on your profile and then come to follow you. So ask yourself, is what I'm adding here going to make people click on it and come to my profile? And aside here, you've got to have your profile in order. Make sure you're using a real profile picture, not some garbage from ChatGPT, a real photo of you. You've got your name on there, you've got a bio, and you've got your profile set up. You should post some content on your profile so it's not completely empty, but the bulk of your efforts should be going into engaging with other people's content at this point. It's obviously very time consuming to go onto these platforms every day, search for all these keywords, and then engage with content. I built a tool to automate this. It's called Alertly. I'll leave a link down in the description. Basically, you put your keywords in once, and then every day you get an email digest with all of the top posts for those keywords that you can go and engage with. I'm also going to leave a coupon down in the description below so you can get 20% off for life. If you don't want to use a paid tool, then you can absolutely do this manually. The same thing will work manually. It will just be a bit slower, and you have to be disciplined enough to build this into your routine to make sure you're doing this every single day. If you keep doing it, if you keep adding value, you'll get more and more visibility and people will start to follow you. Even at 40,000 followers, I'm still doing this every day. I still get my email from Alertly every single day with the topics that I'm following. And then I go in and add value, engage with that content. One thing I got to stress here is do not use AI to automate this process. In Alertly, I do have a reply template generator. So AI will give you ideas on what to reply with, but I have a big warning there saying like you must take this as a draft and tweak it and say it in your own tone of voice. If you're just automating your replies to other people's content on social media, you're going to piss everyone off. So at worst, when people do this, I just ignore it. But a lot of times, if it's like a repeat offender, I just block them. And when you get blocked, then that is a really bad signal to the algorithm. And then whenever you do start posting content, it will start to get suppressed. And a lot of people do this. Like if you go on the X, you will see a lot of people blocking people for posting AI replies. So like, do not do it. You think you're going to save time or it's smart to automate this. It's not going to work, especially if you're engaging with big creators who are putting in the effort to create their own content and you're trying to hack your way in there and leverage their content to get visibility without actually putting in the effort yourself. Nobody is gonna be impressed by that. By the way, guys, if you like this video, please drop a like, please subscribe, please let me know in the comments, like if you're trying to build an audience at the minute, if there's anything I can give you help with or advice or tips on that I haven't covered in the video, then let me know. Okay, so once you have started to get people following you and you're building up your audience, then you can start to invest more time into content creation because people will see the content that you put out there. And making content is hard. It's hard to think about things to post and to create. And I think like a really good hack for this is document, don't lecture. So don't try and be a guru. Like just the other day I seen a video on YouTube. This kid, basically probably half my age, I'm old enough to be his dad, is saying stuff about like, this is why every indie hacker fails and you need to do this, you need to do this, and he has like 10 followers. Nobody really likes to listen to gurus or be lectured at, especially if you don't yet have the credibility and the authority to say those things. But you can say the same thing, but just document it. So instead of telling other people what they're doing wrong, you just document the same lesson, but from your point of view. You say, I tried this and it didn't work for me, or this is what went wrong. So I find that's a really easy way to come up with ideas and resonate with your audience, just sharing what worked for you or what didn't work for you. You have to commit to content for the long term. This isn't just like do something for a few weeks. It could take months before the algorithm starts pushing your content. I can tell you what I do. I post one long form YouTube video every week. I post a short piece of content on YouTube every day. I post a medium-sized post on LinkedIn 5 days a week. And then I post my kind of jokes and banter and just like my stream of thought onto X, usually every day. The takeaway here is like you got to post something every day. Just get into the habit of posting content every single day. Like use your analytics to see what's working. You'll see what kind of content goes viral, what gets engagement, what doesn't, and then you can start to make more content like that. I use X as kind of my like test bed to just throw stuff out there and see what works. And then I also use YouTube Shorts to take some of those ideas and just test out a short piece of content. And then if it works and it gets engagement, then I'll make a longer form piece of content, either a newsletter or a long form video like this. Okay, final thing is content creation in the age of AI. It's tempting to use AI to make all of your content and just post stuff that AI has written. Don't do it. Like, please don't do it. You will just destroy trust and piss people off. A lot of people just see right through this. And in my opinion, when I see someone just copying and pasting stuff from ChatGPT, I just think, wow, this person is lazy and entitled. You know, I'm spending a lot of time every week making my content myself and sharing my real thoughts and ideas. And this other person can't really be bothered to do that. They just want to share ChatGPT's thoughts. And if I want to read ChatGPT's thoughts, I would just open up ChatGPT. If I'm following you, I want to know what you think. I want to know like your real, authentic thoughts and experiences, not just like fantasy stuff that AI has created. I think in the age of AI, like being authentic is more important than ever. More and more people are becoming fatigued with AI slop and generic AI content. And let's face it, it is all generic. Everyone is copying and pasting posts from ChatGPT. It all sounds the same. It all has the same 5 M dashes and stuff like that. Curious how, and can't really understand the context of the conversation. And it's all just like generic, samey garbage. And this is the opportunity. This is the great opportunity for you as someone that wants to create content and build an audience, is you can just be real and authentic and cut through all of the crap. And now it's even easier than ever to be real and authentic because there's so much garbage. For me now, that's why I'm doing video, because it's so easy to just be real. Like, you're watching me and hopefully I assume you know I'm not AI. This video is not AI generated. This is just me sharing my real experience, human to human. And if you're prepared to put in the effort, you will get rewarded. It's not hard once you build a system for creating content. Like for me, I just have a notebook and I just write down ideas throughout the week as they come to me. Then I'll make tweets, short form videos about it. I'll pick the best one for the week or what I think is going to make a good video for this week. And then I'll sit down for 20-30 minutes and make the video. Thank you so much for listening. I'm by no means like the biggest expert on building an audience. I've just been trying stuff out for years and lots of things have worked, things haven't worked. I've just documented my experience and hopefully you find some value in that. Let me know in the comments like what you think. If you need any help, if you've got any questions, let me know. Awesome. See you in the next video.